All right, welcome to the Blurry Dude Show, the show you don't have to watch to enjoy. Today is a special day. This is our traditional holiday episode, Die Hard versus Lethal Weapon. and we've all, except Mini Dude, we've all seen them, right? You've seen both?
I have seen both.
And we're going to do first movie versus first movie just to be fair. We might bring in a little bit of extra franchise stuff, but we're mostly, I think we're going to focus on first movie.
So are we going to Simpson this?
How so?
Well, you know how in The Simpsons it's always like the intro and how you think the episode's going to go, but it goes in a completely different direction.
Maybe.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Isn't that every show?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
That's why I said Simpson it.
Right. I hate Spider-Man. That was for you, Mongo.
You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
And Buffy.
Wow.
And you've seen both.
Yes.
Okay. So the way that I kind of expected this to go, which it won't, is that we would, I would summarize Die Hard, and Bean Counter, being new, gets the privilege of taking Guy's spot in explaining Lethal Weapon, which is pretty easy because all it is Murtaugh saying I'm too old for this shit. But
and
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Isn't that what that guy does?
Oh yeah. But anyway, so we need to have some rules, and there are now more Die Hard movies than Lethal Weapon movies because there's now.
I don't count some of them.
But I thought we were just doing it first.
Well, that's I'm getting to that. So we can bring in a couple franchise things just maybe quick taps
to even it out.
To even it out, right? But we're primarily going to stick to the firsts. And as I had mentioned, I believe on the first episode. Well, I'll get into that. I'll get into the book.
Oh yeah.
But, so I'll recap that when it gets to me. Ooh. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first with Die Hard?
I don't. I'll go first.
Okay.
Because there's not much.
Lethal Weapon in 30 seconds. Go. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
It starts with a naked chick that jumps off a building and kills herself.
Right.
Not necessary. Then it goes to two detectives that are used to working alone that end up having to work together.
Right.
Which would be Murtaugh, and I don't even know what... Riggs, that's it. Yes. Yep. And then there's lots of action, and then it ends. That's about it.
Somewhere in there, Danny Glover says, I'm too old for this shit, and I believe Gary Busey's involved.
Yeah, I have to say, I do have to put this out there. Back in the 80s when it came out, I liked the movie, but when I rewatched it, it was one of those, oh my God.
You got Centurion.
It was horrible.
I'm going to watch this movie real quick.
It was horrible. I was like, I actually liked this thing.
I gotta remember
who
was in...
I did go back and watch Die Hard, and Die Hard, I liked Die Hard.
Die Hard is timeless, even for the things that are dated. Okay, to me, it's even smoking in the airport. Like I watched that. I'm a smoker, in case you guys didn't know. So don't hate me if you do. Oh well. But I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. Especially after recent travel experiences that I had, where I got stuck in L.A. of all places as a smoker. For 4.5 hours.
And you couldn't go outside.
Oh, no, I went outside. Okay, I had me a cigarette that could have cost me a couple $100. Just saying.
That's horrible.
I had 3 of them. 3 of them. Actually, I think it's only $75. I think it's the same in Indiana. But
Indiana smoke-free?
They're all smoke-free. You cannot smoke in an airport. I think it's a federal thing.
Oh, I thought you meant just the state. Because California, the state, is smoke-free, aren't they?
There's ish, yeah. I mean, you basically can't do it anywhere where somebody will notice. But including in your own vehicle, which...
But all the airports have smoking areas outside for the most part.
No.
Well, they have...
No, they don't.
They did at Dayton. They did at D.C.
There's
not recently.
Actually inside.
Yeah, when we went.
At some point, I remember when I had a layover one time. It was kind of funny because all the smokers were in like the, like the call like this kind of aquarium.
Oh, okay.
And you just see this room full of people just smoking back and forth. And I just look, it's like, man.
What are you guys doing? Playing pool?
It's not.
No, it's what cracks me up. This is funny. I mean, we've been so long with restaurants where you can't smoke, but back in the 80s, I used to work at Wendy's, and this made no sense at all. They put the non-smokers on the outside and the smokers on the inside. So all the smoke would go out. I don't even understand that.
Well, I'd imagine they probably had some kind of ventilation that just didn't work.
Okay,
I don't think
let's stop talking about this. We're supposed to be on Lethal Weapon.
We are. We're talking about Die Hard in the Airport. It's relevant,
all
damn
part.
it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, so going back, even the dated stuff. But I'll get to that. So go ahead with Lethal Weapon.
I think I summed it up pretty much.
Yeah, you did.
I mean,
all right.
that was basically it. They're two detectives that didn't want to work together, and then they actually do end up working together well.
And developing a friendship.
Yeah.
And now, I guess for the benefit of some of our viewers and Mongo, I will explain. I will let you guys know this. All right. So as far as movies go, I do not believe Lethal Weapon's the worst movie in the world or anything. I did enjoy Lethal Weapon. I enjoyed most of them. I even kind of enjoyed 3. Dude, Jet Li kicking Mel Gibson's ass with his hand in his pocket. That sold it for me.
I love Jet Li.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so that's so.
Enough said.
Other than that, the movie was 3 was
His movie.
They really, even for Lethal Weapon, they really phoned it in. But
Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Okay.
They fuck you at the restaurants. But
And then
the thing is, I'm also, my other rule here is I don't know what the most recent one is called because it just wasn't worth remembering. But the movie that came after Live Free or Die Hard did not, in fact, happen to me. Nope.
What movie you're talking about?
I don't know.
In the Die Hard.
If they ever made a Die Hard
exactly.
5, I don't think it'll happen.
I think if they make a Die Hard 5, it would be.
Well, you do know that it. Okay, so I don't know if you're just going along with the gag. But,
I'm going along with the gag because I don't think Die Hard 5 existed.
No, it was totally just.
Yeah.
I don't know that I saw any past the first Die Hard. I did see like up to 3 of the Lethal Weapons, but I don't think I saw more than the first Die Hard.
We have to. We're gonna watch. I mean, Christmas is happening, so yeah, we're watching them.
Well, through Polar Express again.
That's okay. I didn't mind that.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, I like Polar Express.
It's creepy.
What?
It's a little.
I thought it was what?
Creepy.
It's creepy.
There's
what's
a little
creepy about
bit
it?
of. I know what it is. I know what it is because I've heard this from other people, and I've had this discussion with people who are actually like into robotics and stuff. And it's the same thing that you get into with AI.
Yeah.
It's the uncanny valley. Tom Hanks is just so close to being real in the movie. It would have been better if they would have shot it live action rather than doing the creepy animation. I get that. It's almost
The
it
only
gives you an
creepy
unease.
part. Wait. Who's Tom Hanks? Tom Hanks.
The
He's
conductor.
the conductor.
Okay, the only part that I thought was creepy was on top of the roof and the guy.
with the old guy.
Yeah, and then he takes them through
Yeah.
with all the dolls. The dolls I always thought were creepy.
Yeah, that was,
I don't know why, but I just always thought they were creepy.
no. Dolls and clowns. It's the '80s has weaved that into our genetic code as human beings that dolls and clowns are bad.
Yeah.
Is that because of Child's Play?
Child's Play and It. Yep, Child's Play and It. That's it.
It was stupid.
The new one. I'm not. You know what? That's a whole nother.
We are doing an episode on that, aren't we? Because you were talking about all the Stephen King things.
I have to watch.
Yeah,
it
we
first.
have to. We do. We
Yeah.
have to do
I
Stephen
had to watch
King's
it.
because he's just pumping them out, man. Good God, he's been more prolific in the last 6 months than he has been in the last 10 years.
You guys-
And that's saying something because Stephen King pumps, and I love Stephen King. Just so you guys know, I'm not bashing on Stephen King.
Stephen King's awesome,
He is awesome, and he seriously pumps out books.
and he's good at what he does.
He's very good at what he
He's
does.
so
And
good.
what
I
he
don't read
tries
them.
to do.
I
Right.
can't read
he
them.
tries to make them descriptive and what's the word? Starts with a V.
You're too young to be doing that.
No, hey, shh, he's coming into his own. Just let him do his thing.
Whatever.
Starts
He's
with a
very
V?
descriptive, is what a V.
Oh, vivid.
There you go.
Well, not vivid, but yeah, vivid.
Okay.
Detailed.
Yeah, he is.
Which is what he goes for.
He goes. Well, here the beauty of it is
because
if you've ever
had
read
that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you've ever read his
goes for
his book on writing, it's not that he's the great thing about his description is that he's not over descriptive.
He's accurate and precise.
He lets you imagine what you need to
exactly.
and gives you the information.
Gives you
That's the best way to do it because when
right. But I think we can all agree that nobody can replace Tim Curry as it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know
Pennywise.
other than Carrie, I don't know that I've seen any of his movies.
Have you seen the interview that Tim Curry gave?
No.
It's actually pretty good.
Okay.
I'll have to send it to you sometime.
Do that, yes.
But Tim Curry actually they interviewed him at, I think, one of the Wizard Worlds or something like that, or some kind of convention. But they put it on Facebook, because everything's on Facebook.
Obviously.
And they were just asking him questions about it, and he talks about like him dealing with the children as Pennywise, the clown, actor,
right?
With the kids acting, and he also talks about the ending, which he said, he goes, I'm a little disappointed in the ending. Because I didn't imagine myself being turned into a big giant spider
from space.
Yeah, he goes, I hope the ending in the movie it is a little better than what it was in the TV series.
Well, she just gets killed.
Well, it wasn't a TV series. It was just
a TV movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, that was his thing. That was made for TV.
Yeah.
I mean, and even something like Red Rose and things like that people don't even remember. The Stand, Storm of the Century. I'm bouncing all over the place. Tommy Knockers, Needful Things. I mean,
ABC did a lot of his... I'm
thinking of somebody completely different. Never mind.
ABC did a lot of his...
I was thinking Edgar Allan Poe.
Stephen King and Edgar Allan Poe. Maybe
they're close.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Nevermore.
Well, no, I was thinking
channeling
the Telltale Heart. That's what I was thinking in my head. That's like one of my favorite poems. I don't know why,
I like the Pit and the Pendulum.
Yeah, that
I like
one
The Raven because I'm cliche.
Yeah.
Nevermore.
Once upon a midnight dreary, as I pondered weak and weary over many quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, as I not really napping, suddenly there came a tapping.
Back to that.
Okay, fine. I can never even get through the first damn. Okay.
So all right. So where are we at? Die Hard versus Lethal Weapon.
Die Hard versus Lethal Weapon. So I'm going to summarize Die Hard now. So basically, you've got John McClane, who is a New York police officer, and his wife is some sort of business person, you get the impression, who gets this fantastic job with an electronics company that for some reason is building bridges, and I don't know, that part was a little weird, but the model, I don't know if you remember the model.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why is an electronics company doing, but anyway. Okay.
They're expanding.
Anyway, she goes to L.A. to work for Nakatomi.
Maybe they're doing the lights on the bridge.
Could be. But anyway, so she takes a job at Nakatomi, and obviously there's some marital problems because that's just crucial to the movie.
It's the 80s.
Right. Well, but I'm going to call shenanigans on that in a minute. So, sorry, still have that perpetual cold. I guess it's not perpetual. Man, you've even got like this grab on me where I'm like, ooh, I better not say that. She's going to call me on it.
I didn't.
Starting to walk on eggshells. I don't know if I can do this anymore. No,
I need to find out this background story because there's a story behind Die Hard that I want to talk about.
Okay. Okay.
But I got to find out.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, so John McClane goes to L.A. to meet his wife at the Nakatomi Christmas party, and while he is there, these apparent terrorists seize the building with some sort of intention on releasing all these weird other terrorist groups and, kind of sticking it to the man. And then you, of course, find out that this is just a ploy for a really elaborate robbery of all of these non-negotiable bonds, which I thought was a pretty good twist. And they were subtle. They didn't hit you over the head with it. They were subtle enough about it that it was
Well,
it was
comparing
nice.
Villains, I'm sorry, but Snape.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman way better than Gary Busey. You can't. I mean, that's just not even a comparison.
You could have had Cuddles the bull terrier as the villain, and it would have been better than Gary Busey. But anyway, so he goes there, and all kinds of shenanigans ensue between him and the others. He does manage to get a hold of one police officer whom he has to drop a dead body on his car just to get his attention.
Oh, that was funny.
That was funny. Everything. I mean, every step of this movie is I don't want to get into the critique just yet, but so then of course during this whole ordeal, he's just knocking off bad guys left and right, and then eventually. By the way, big spoiler alerts if you haven't seen the movie, which. If you haven't seen the movie, where have you been? Go and watch this movie. It's the greatest Christmas movie ever made.
I just thought of something.
What did you just think of?
When I said earlier I haven't seen the movie, but I saw the remake of it in Family Guy. It wasn't Family Guy. It was the Cleveland Show.
Same difference.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, it's Mike McFarland. I mean, it's if you've seen one episode, you've seen all his shows.
Yeah.
Including the Orville. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, right.
Getting evil eyes on both sides.
Next year, we're going to have a whole new cast.
And
it'll be the Bean Counter show. But
yeah, that really has a ring.
The Bean. You could do the Bean Show, but you might get sued by Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
If he's
Instead of
still
Mr.
alive.
Bean, it's Mrs. Bean.
Right.
I'm good.
Oh, Rowan. Oh, don't give Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, but I don't want to be Mrs. Bean.
Right. Is he alive?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess he's alive. Well, we love you,
Or Miss
Rowan
Bean.
He's
Atkinson.
still done a few things recently, I thought.
Last thing I saw him in was Rat Race.
What are we talking about?
Mr. Bean.
Rowan Atkinson.
Wow. The last thing that I remember he was doing was Johnny English.
Oh, that's right. Yep, Johnny English.
Yeah,
forgot about that.
Spoof off pretty much Bond movies.
Right. Yeah. Which okay, I'm not gonna get. God, I could tangent on that so hard.
But I do
Back to Die Hard.
But I
Yep,
do
back
love
to Die
Mr.
Hard.
Bean.
I do love Mr.
So
Bean.
basically, I mean, just keeping it kind of short. It's an action movie, so there's a lot of gunfights and fist fights, and then eventually Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman, gets thrown off a Nakatomi Tower, and then a guy that should be Dolph Lundgren but isn't comes out and tries to kill John McClane, and Michael Winslow from Family Matters shoots him. Right, even silent observers like nobody's gonna get that. The only thing anybody ever remembers about Family Matters is Urkel. But my favorite was Michael Winslow.
I have to agree, because Earl
I
annoyed
love
me.
Michael Winslow. All right, the guy, he was a great cop. Bad driver in Die Hard, but I mean he was going backwards while getting shot at, but with machine
And
guns.
screaming like a girl.
Right. I need backup. I need backup now. Brilliant. Okay, so we need to dive in at this point because Die Hard is so timelessly wonderful. Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, they both have plenty of cheese, plenty of one-liners, plenty of you know what's going to happen, but you're waiting for it to happen. But Die Hard had this almost eloquent execution about all of it, and just the right sprinklings of cheese, and just the right, the timing on the one-liners.
I have a hard time comparing the two because Die Hard, he was stuck in a building and it's all there.
Right.
Lethal Weapon, and it's just one guy. I mean,
Yeah.
You have the Family Matters guy out, but he's not really a partner with them. And then the other Lethal Weapon, it's a partners.
So I guess,
and they're outside. There's more. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's a much broader battlefield, if you will, and Gary Busey's got a couple little minions, but they don't really matter. So let's go element for element. All right, as far as battlefield, I'll give you that Lethal Weapon's battlefield was broader, but I actually think I have more respect for Die Hard for being able to accomplish so much in one building.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's hard to compare.
And then you have the villains. So as you pointed out in Die Hard, you basically, for all intents and purposes, you've got Riggs and Murtaugh versus Gary Busey. Well, like I said, he's got a couple little minions, but they don't matter. Which brings me to Die Hard, which is kind of an opposite situation where you have, McClane has some support, but it's all external, and it doesn't really do very well. And then you have this whole massive team against John McClane. So the odds, John McClane definitely beats harder odds.
Well, the one thing I liked is that John McClane he wasn't actually going after him. He was trying to avoid it, and he was trying to get help.
Right.
It was
he tries
more realistic to me.
He is so much more believable as a real person, even though he does all these even more extraordinary things than Riggs and Murtaugh.
I agree.
The other thing is about the villains. Gary Busey's villains. Gary Busey's very, barely memorable, let alone his minions. Hans Gruber's minions, you get involved with them. You know who they are. You know what I mean? You knew dude wanted John McClane's ass for killing his brother.
Yeah.
Okay? And the guy with the glasses that gets pissed off at him when he just goes, which is the brother. And then, of course, why can I not remember the actor's name? The black guy with the glasses. The computer guy.
Oh yeah.
The computer guy. He was so fantastic.
No,
the guy
I like the limo guy better.
But I was talking
villains.
Yeah. And the one you brought up, the guy that steals the candy bar. Do you remember that? When they're waiting to gun down the SWAT team as they're coming up, and he swipes the candy bar. He looks down at the counter and he's like,
then he looks around like, is anybody looking?
And gets in there and takes the which, that's another thing. They had such realism to the characters because here you are, you're a villain, you're standing there, you're getting ready to have a shootout with the cops. Nothing's really going on. And there's a Nestle fucking Crunch bar. You're about to rob $60, $70 million in non-negotiable bonds. I'm eating that Nestle bar. All right? Could be my last Nestle bar. I'm having it. Interestingly enough, that villain is shared. Well, that minion is shared between the two movies.
Really?
Yes. We realized that in watching it. Remember?
No, I don't remember.
It doesn't surprise me.
Okay, you're the one that actually.
I probably did point it out, but I don't remember.
Just keep in mind, you're probably right.
Right. That's true. But anyway, so I feel like there were a lot more realistic characters. It wasn't just the dialogue they wanted you to pay attention to. They sprinkled in some things that you didn't even need to know, but they were nice nuances to the characters.
No,
you know
we're
what I mean?
okay.
And yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Argyle was fantastic for the little bit that he played. Argyle was the limo driver.
Yeah.
Was fantastic. At the very end, when he goes up and he punches the guy in the van, and then he's so happy with himself about it too. He goes out and he gets John McClane's there, and the building's on fire, and
we're like Keaton hasn't seen it, but he's the limo driver and he drops him off, and the whole time throughout the whole movie, he has no clue what's going on. None.
Until he hears it over the CB. He hears something over the CB, and
then he's like rooting for John.
Then he flips on the news and he's like, so he tries to escape, but all the gates are shut in the bottom of the Nakatomi Tower, so he can't get out. So he's just like, and just throws it in park and just waits. And he's just like, I mean, I'm done, so I'm just gonna chill out here and hope for the best. So. Right. But then he sees the ambulance, and he's like, what is going on here? And he rams the ambulance with the limousine, knocks the guy out, only to open up the gate at the end of it. I mean, they annihilate this building, okay? John McClane drops the monitor down the elevator shaft with all the C4, blows out a whole floor. You've got glass everywhere. The place has been shot up. There's fires. John McClane's come out. He's dirty. He's bleeding. He's all messed up. He's got the shock blanket on. He's got the wife there. And, Michael Winslow just shot the German guy. And Argyle just rolls up all cool like, you guys need a ride? It's a beautiful moment, okay? That hits you in the feels, all right? But everything about it was just so well developed. Even the worst tongue-in-cheek parts of it were brilliant.
Even like when we were talking, even the music throughout it was perfect.
Yeah, and, I mean, how many times... Oh, shoot, why am I losing it? The name of the song.
Oh. Christmas song.
Yeah, well, ish.
Obviously.
Ode to Joy.
Yeah.
So they basically played Ode to Joy 4 different ways throughout the whole movie, and it totally worked.
Yeah.
It totally worked. Versus the terrible 80s Casio keyboard shit that Lethal Weapon had going on.
Press the button.
Okay. And if you want to let's take our heroes, and let's add, all right, so what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do something experimental with Lethal Weapon. I'm going to give Lethal Weapon, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give it a fighting chance. I'm going to give Riggs a fighting chance.
Just to let you know, I got my tidbit.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Riggs, I'm going to take Riggs and Murtaugh and put them together as one person. So now we have this super badass special forces with all kinds of cop experience, and he's actually cool and not just crazy Mel Gibson. And
too old for this shit.
And too old for this shit. Damn it. You know, he's tired. He's throwing
I think
down.
Glover made the whole movie, honestly.
I agree with that. Now, let's take Danny Glover and let's knock 30 years off his life, right? So he's in his, 30s, 40s now? No, I'm kidding. Let's make him a little bit younger and hipper and even a little bit stronger. What you basically have now
is not Lethal Weapon.
He's not Lethal Weapon.
You have MacGyver. That's basically what you have if you mix Riggs and Murtaugh. You got MacGyver with a little bit more combat experience. So you have decent dialogue, ish. You know, MacGyver. You have the mullet. So, MacGyver.
Really, we're going to go by the mullet.
All right. You have the cleverness. So, again, MacGyver. And then
where's the cleverness then? That's the problem I have.
Well, the bomb. But I know that's not in the first Lethal Weapon. But I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, with the bathroom bomb?
No. Where they have to disarm the bomb, but they fail.
See, I thought we were going with that, too.
Yeah, I thought we were going with the first two. I mean, the first
we're going with the first. I told you, I will sneak out. I'm going to give Lethal Weapon the fighting chance here.
So you're taking both Lethal Weapons against the first.
I will pit the whole. Here, I'll tell you what. All right, new rule. I'm pitting the whole Lethal Weapon franchise.
So you really have a lot of guts on this hard
one.
You have a lot of rules.
Right.
Which means, wait a minute, that gives Lethal Weapon, it gives it a leg up on the villains now, because now we can include Jet Li. Okay, and the Englishman, but which don't matter.
The Englishman.
But Jet Li, okay, I'm sorry, but Hans Gruber versus Jet Li. Jet Li's got his hand in his pocket, and he's getting ready to kick Hans Gruber's ass, and Hans Gruber just shoots him right in the forehead. And that's the end of it. Pop, could you get this out of here? That's the way Hans Gruber rolls.
No, I'm all about Jet Li.
Don't get me wrong, if he had to go hand to hand, no, Jet Li, hands down. He's going to take Hans Gruber, okay? But Hans Gruber has such an affinity, such powerful urge to not crease his suit that it's just over. Okay,
what's your tidbit? I've been waiting this
let's get into the tidbit. What's your tidbit?
Oh, okay. My tidbit is actually, did you know that Die Hard is actually a sequel?
Yes.
All right. So,
well, wait a minute. Wait, define that, because should I share my tidbit then? We talked about my tidbit a little bit.
All right, you go with your tidbit first, and I'll finish it off.
So there's a myth. I talked about this on the first episode, but I'm going to recap it anyway. There's a myth that Die Hard was based on Commando, or was supposed to be Commando 2, which is wrong. Neither was Die Hard 2. Both were based on books. Right. The interesting thing is that Die Hard 1 was based on the second book in that series. I don't know what happened to the first book.
Well, okay, so the first book was called the Detective, and that was published in 1966.
Mm-hmm.
They made a movie out of it in 1968.
Called what?
Gotta watch it.
And I think it's called basically The Detective.
Okay.
And it starred Frank Sinatra.
Right, yes. Yeah, okay.
So, since Die Hard was considered a sequel, they had to offer it to Frank Sinatra first.
Huh.
Before they offered to anybody
alive?
else.
At the time.
He was at the time. He was old, but he was...
of course he passed it.
That would have kind of been interesting.
And so it went down the line. It's not in here, and I know...
Another elevator.
Right.
What are you doing, John?
Because his name was actually Detective John Lelane. Leland. Oh no, I take that
Leland?
back. Joe Leland. Joe Leland.
Leland or
Yeah,
Leland?
the character name of John McClane instead of Joe Leland. It was Joe L-E, last name Leland.
I think that's Leland.
Is it Leland?
I think.
Okay.
I like Leland.
I like Leland too.
Leland. I like Leland.
Leland.
And then they offered it to different people. Now, the first article I read, which is this one, it said they offered it to like maybe 6 different people before they offered it to Bruce Willis.
Right.
Because right now they said after they offered it to Sinatra, they offered it to Schwarzenegger.
Right.
It would not have been the same movie.
I don't know if that's true because that's part of the whole Commando 2 thing.
Well, yeah.
But that may have been what started it too.
Yeah, it's discussed in here, but I know they offered it to like Don Johnson. I think they offered it to Stallone.
Yeah.
They offered it to quite a lot of few people until they reached Bruce Willis, and they really didn't want to give it to him because at the time he was unknown.
Right. Other than
Really?
Yeah.
Hudson Hawk.
No.
He was on Moonlighting.
Moonlighting, but I can't remember if Moonlighting was.
Moonlighting was before that.
Yeah, but Moonlighting didn't scream action movie either.
Yeah.
No, that's true. But he was a detective, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, he was. He was a detective.
I think Arnold would have been fine in it.
No, because
and Sly wouldn't have either.
And it wouldn't have had the
Johnson.
same. It wouldn't have had the same realism if it would have had Sly
true.
or Schwarzenegger.
I could see Schwarzenegger as one of the villains, but I can't see him as. I can't see him as McClane.
I'm going to tell you what. One of my favorite. There's so many brilliant lines from that movie, but I could picture John McClane on Arnold Schwarzenegger, like Bruce Willis, on Arnold Schwarzenegger's back, punching him in the back of the head, going, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to cook you, and I'm going to eat you." Love it. Love it.
I'd kind of like to see that, actually.
Right? And that would be totally worth it. It would.
But I do remember that tidbit. So
Don Johnson, though.
Yeah.
That would have been just a people pleaser.
It worked. It really worked out. It worked out perfect for them. In the end, it really did. It came together.
I'm not a huge fan of Bruce Willis, but
I love Bruce Willis since his Seagram Wine Cooler commercials and Moonlighting.
I did like Moonlighting,
and I do like Hudson Hawk.
I don't think I could watch it now.
I love Hudson Hawk. Guy and I are going to have a face-off.
I have to agree.
Yeah, we're going to have a face-off, Hudson Hawk versus Johnny Dangerously. Because they're both very satirical.
I don't know. Oh man, that's hard.
But at the end of the day, he's a jewelry thief that times his heists to show tunes.
To show tunes?
Yes. It's just, and they not only did they take this really campy idea, but the execution was perfect. It was so, and the two guys, they got Bruce Willis and the other guy I can't remember because who cares? He's not famous.
Denny Aiello.
Yeah, him.
Who?
Denny Aiello.
Yeah, he's famous, but he's not. He's
not Bruce Willis.
Give Denny respect
for that movie. For that movie, I'll give him a fucking medal.
It's like, damn it, get the supporting actors some respect.
But everything about that movie was I should have known that anyway because of the other mob movies that I love that he's been in. But he plays that character very, very well, and that's another thing that I think that I like about Die Hard versus Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon is very L.A., and Die Hard is very New York. Even though it takes place in L.A. Even the damn cops in L.A. have New York accents. Agent Johnson and Agent Johnson, no relation. They both even had.
Okay. It doesn't have to do with any of this. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you guys.
No, man, speak your mind.
It was just something me, EJ, and Alex were talking about. Just the Johnsons we were talking.
Yeah.
I think it was something. I think it was football or something. But Alex was saying like, it was soccer. We were playing FIFA, and they were like, EJ's like, why the heck did they have the same? Like, he was like sitting here, and he's like, I have two of the same guys on the same team, and Alex is like, that's like saying two Johnsons can't be on the same team.
Right.
He's like,
I'm looking for John Smith. John Smith, please come to the white courtesy phone.
I was just dying.
I wonder if anybody even gets that. Do they have white courtesy phones anymore?
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know. You're worldly.
Right.
Anyway,
You've traveled much more than I have.
Perhaps. And I never did. I never did use the white courtesy phone, but.
What's the white courtesy phone?
I was just. It was in airports because I don't. They probably did it elsewhere, but in airports they had all these little white courtesy phones all over the place, so that if they needed to get a hold of you, you didn't have to fight your way through the entire airport to get to the information areas, and you just pick up the phone and they would tell you whatever they needed to tell you.
Now they just
I'm
text
assuming
you.
that's what happened. Yeah, now they just text you
Yeah,
or pull you aside.
That's why we
and
have
frisk you.
these.
Right. Forget about those. Doesn't matter. Not on this episode because they didn't.
It's funny how all three of you guys have your phones and mine's in there.
That is interesting, actually.
We should do this show more often.
Right. This is the most I've seen your face.
We're going to do daily episodes now. No. So, going back, I think that, and I'm going to give you your, like, how are you going to defend Lethal Weapon? But I'm going to bash it first. Because
Wait. What, how does
He's
he
like,
come-
why am I?
Yeah,
why am I defending Lethal
why is
Weapon?
this-
because you
versus-
like it.
I like both of them.
Well, okay, all right.
But you're the only one that likes it.
Wait a
here.
minute.
okay.
Wait a minute. No. Wait a minute.
I haven't seen
back
it,
up.
so
Back
I
up.
can't
Back up.
back you up.
I Lethal Weapon's a guilty pleasure for me. I like, and this is the worst part. People can get. I think there's going to be people that might be upset by this, but the second one is actually my favorite. Simple
what I
for
was
one
gonna say,
reason. One reason, and it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. You know what it is? Pulling the house down with a truck. Most redneck
That's it?
The
thing.
bathroom scene in that one, though? That's what it starts off with.
Yeah, it starts off with
isn't it?
yeah. That's
See, I think
brilliant,
the
too.
second one is the better one, too.
Yeah.
I think, what about comparing the second one to the first Die Hard? Or have you done the second two?
We were watching.
No, we've done
Yeah,
done
just
one
showed me
versus
that.
one. We've done trilogy versus trilogy. We've done 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3. I'll pit 2 against 1, and I have an easy way to settle this argument. Hans Gruber,
Who's the villain in 2? I don't even know. I don't
the
remember.
Englishman.
It's
I
always the
don't
villains
remember.
with you. It's always the villains.
That's true.
Without a villain,
Villain,
there
there's
cannot
nothing.
be a hero.
Nothing. There's nothing.
You know,
Okay.
he always likes the
It's always the-
anti-hero.
Do you
better
know?
than a
Do you know
regular
what would have
hero.
happened if Die Hard would not have had a villain? Okay, if Die Hard would not have had a villain,
would-
John
He would've
McClane
walked.
would have gone back down the elevator, got in the fucking limo, and went home. In Lethal Weapon, had there not been a villain, Riggs would have killed himself. Murtaugh would have retired. Movie over.
See, at least the good thing is, Die Hard, it was a good ending without the villains.
What the hell do you mean it wasn't a good? That's still
I
a
said
good
that
ending.
was a good ending, if without the villains, is what I said.
But Lethal Weapon's a perfectly good ending without the villains too. Riggs kills himself and Murtaugh retires. What is wrong with this?
You're breaking the rules. You're hitting the table.
I can do it because I know how loud. But
All right. Well,
okay, so all right,
Did you start?
all right.
I did.
I can do this.
So you did well. Wait a minute. Before you look at you, battle ready.
It's like, I can see
It's
this.
like, I have a hammer. I'm going to use it.
That's it. As I put my hands together, and they're
Right.
locked.
Yours is so much better. I'll give you that. You get the better villain laugh, which makes it like I'm jealous. I'm villain jealous.
Village.
I'm gonna get a moon laser and then see where you're at.
Mess
Okay,
with
before
me
you do
now.
that, I have to know. All right, because I think the audience deserves to know. Which one do you think is better? See,
I knew
bring it on.
I knew you were going to ask me this. And you want to know what my answer is? You already probably know what my answer is, but you're not probably going to know why.
Okay. It's Lethal Weapon, isn't it?
No, it's actually Die Hard. I like Die Hard better than
There you
Lethal
go.
Weapon.
All right.
And
But the thing is,
Look,
let's
the rest
hear the
doesn't
why.
matter.
No,
The
I
rest
want to
doesn't-
know.
We gotta hear the why.
Okay,
We have
all
to
right.
hear the why.
All right.
you know why? Because I love playing the video game. I love the trilogy Die Hard
Okay.
Die Hard trilogy video game.
You never see it coming with
That's
this. You
totally.
You just don't.
I don't care the reason. It's a good reason. It's unique, and I like it.
It gave us such a great video game.
It did. It did. It's so much
It's
better
almost
than
like
Blues
Harry
Brothers.
Potter. Trying to
Oh my God. Okay,
creep
so hold
away
on a
from the
second.
cat.
Real quick tangent here. All right, for the people who made the Harry Potter video game for the first PlayStation,
Thing was
what
hard.
the hell were you thinking? That was not a kid's game. I almost threw my controller through my TV.
What happened with the...
It was hard, man.
I want to know what happened. That was...
Well, first off, you're like, okay, how do I cast a spell? Jesus Christ, I can play Mortal Kombat and I can't do this. Then you gotta fly for the Quidditch shit, and you're like, where the hell am I going? I can play Microsoft Flight Simulator and I can't control this dude on a broom. Then you have to sneak past this stupid cat. And it's another one of those, I've done it before, because I'm sitting there going, I have beat Thief the Dark Project, and I can't get past this damn cat. This video game was not made for children. Either that, or they should start hiring children, like do some Universal Soldier type shit. Yeah, I brought up Jean-Claude Van Damme. Do something.
Wow, I never heard a Universal Soldier and a Harry Potter in the same reference.
Mashup.
Oh my God.
Jean-Claude Van Damme versus Snape. Cage match. Sunday.
That's almost like gummy bears and cookies.
Well, at the end of the day, the roof of your mouth is going to hurt.
I'm gonna have a 6-pack by
All right, so
at the end of the day, Die Hard is the better movie because Snape. See how it all comes around? Yeah.
you've been waiting all time to use that.
Yes, I
I can't believe you. Why aren't you just throwing Galaxy Quest while you're at it?
have. Ooh, how can I work that? But it has to include Tony Shalhoub. I'm sure it has something to do with Monk and detectives. And there it is. I already did it.
Oh man, we're getting out of control.
Okay, so I will agree with you. The video game was, and for when they released that video game, doing movie video games had historically been such a terrible idea. And let me go back for a minute. I'm going to go all the way back to Atari. E.T., the people that made E.T., you know who you are. You are wrong.
You are very wrong.
They had an E.T. video game, really?
And they forgot to put things in it. So it was impossible to play. I spent 2
Forget the
weeks.
phono.
2 weeks trying to figure out how to get out of this little box thing, and then finally somebody tells me it's the ravine, and you got to find the Skittles. And I'm like, how do you find the Skittles? And they're like, walk to the corner and
It
press the
wasn't
button.
Skittles, it was Reese's Pieces.
A Reese's Pieces, right?
Hadn't come out
You
yet.
know my pain.
That game was horrible. that was oh my God, it was terrible.
Yes, and then you have. So let's fast forward, and I'm gonna remake a reference here. Do you remember Blues Brothers, the video game?
They had a Blues Brothers video.
How can you do that?
Nearly destroyed the franchise, as far as I'm concerned. That was
What
god
were you even playing
awful.
for?
I don't even
I
remember
don't-
that.
To get to Chicago?
Which admittedly in real life is kind of fucking difficult. But
It's the potholes. You were avoiding the potholes.
You want to make a video
They
game?
ran
about
out of
trying to
packs
get
of
through Old
cigarettes and they didn't have glasses.
right. Oh man.
We are out of control. We are off course.
That's okay. It's okay because this is a special episode. This is the Die Hard version, and everybody knows Die Hard's going to win because I say so.
And you've done it every year.
Blurry dude says Die Hard wins, so
But,
it automatically wins.
Yeah, but I like Die Hard better than Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
So it's just
There really
Yeah.
isn't a comparison. I think you need to start comparing it to something else.
I can't because
Is Lethal
wait
Weapon
a
even
minute.
a
Wait a
Christmas
minute.
movie?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
just,
it is. It ends at a Christmas party,
Okay,
and yeah, it does. It does.
I remember that.
Yeah, when he walks up the driveway with the dog, come in and have some You're not leaving me alone with my wife's terrible cooking, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I do remember.
After he just beats the snot out of. But anyway,
Did he walk up bloody and?
No, I think it's like a next day situation, which is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat turkey right after I beat up Gary Busey anyway.
Oh, that's right, because he beat up the guys in the lot because they were in a Christmas tree lot.
Yeah.
Yes. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do remember that.
But the
Which was really unrealistic.
but let me explain why we pit these two against each other. They were competing blockbusters
At the time.
Yeah.
But Die Hard came out way after Lethal Weapon, didn't it?
No, I think Lethal Weapon came out
first.
after Die Hard.
I looked this
Oh
up.
no,
Lethal
you're right.
Weapon.
No, because it was like 86 was Lethal Weapon and 88 was Die Hard.
I thought Die Hard was in the early 90s.
No, Die Hard 2. It was 80, 88, 90, and 95, if I remember correctly. And then they waited 12 years and did another one, and waited a few years and did another one, waited a couple years and did another one.
It's funny how you use different words for the different years. As in couple for 2, and then few for 3. And
Well, yeah, because it was weird because they slowed down making them and then sped up and ruined it with John McClane's son. That whole thing just...
I should have just quit.
Live Free or Die Hard I'll accept because John McClane takes down a helicopter with a taxi cab. And that's true John McClane kind of shit right there. All right, but the last movie was just...
The last movie was horrible, from what I understand.
It was like John McClane, international spy. That's what it felt like, because he has to go to Russia to find his kid. Mm. It's just, I don't know. It might not have even been Russia. That's how much I care. But it might as well have been G.I. Joe.
Pretty bad.
I'll never get over that.
Mm.
But
well, apparently, Lethal Weapon, the TV series, is going on to season 2.
Mm. Oh, Lethal Weapon was 87, so it was a year.
Well, wait, I'm looking up Die Hard.
I'm telling you, it was 88, 90, and 95.
It was 88.
That was 87, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uno years. Uno años.
88. I know those
Spanish. Tell me I don't know Spanish.
What'd you say? I want to hear it.
Uno años.
Oh, 1 year.
So... They were, but like I said, they are competing blockbusters, and they're both Christmas movies, which is, a lot of people say this is my favorite.
Did they come out at Christmas at the time? Do you know?
I think Die Hard did. I don't know if
I think
Lethal
Die
Weapon
Hard did.
Because Die Hard also had all that Christmas.
No, Die Hard was released in July of 1988.
Huh. Well, they both start out with Christmas music anyway, and
whoops.
It's just the way it is, okay?
No, I agree. I'm not arguing that. I was just curious.
Right. But I think we can all agree Die Hard was better. And one of the reasons that I think so, well, I mean, we kind of have. I mean, you sort of did. And like I said, I think one of the reasons, honestly, was they put more effort into it. They did. They put more effort into the characters. Even the ancillary, unnecessary characters had more personality than Riggs. So,
I got something for you.
Okay.
According to IMDb, it says that the release date for Die Hard was March 6, 1987.
That's Lethal Weapon.
Am I looking up Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, because I'm looking at the same thing.
Yeah,
Lethal Weapon is March 6th.
All right,
Die Hard was July. Neither of them came out at Christmas.
That's kind of weird. So that means Lethal Weapon came out first before Die Hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's...
And it's... But, I mean, and it's so inferior. One year couldn't have made that much of a difference. But at the end of the day, John McClane wins because he's John McClane. And you don't mess with John McClane, especially around Christmas. Especially if you're on a tower. Just ask Alan Rickman. God rest his soul.
Alan Rickman?
Yeah, Alan Rickman.
I can't do it as good as you.
You were waiting for it, weren't you? Everybody's waiting for
I know,
Rickman.
I'm surprised you haven't said anything yet.
Well, that's... Honestly, I sounded like... I went back over the old episodes and I was like, I don't know, maybe that's not as strong as I thought it was. It sounds good in person, but it doesn't sound as much on... It sounds so good on recorded medium.
It doesn't surprise me.
Plus, we're...
But these are different mics, so maybe it came through pretty good.
Well, that, and we were all sniffling, so...
That's true. I can only do Alan Rickman effectively when I have a cold.
You have a perpetual one.
Yep. We're going to let it go. And on that bombshell, no.
Well, out of anything, if you have a cold, let's just start trying to talk like Forrest
Porky
Gump.
Pig.
Forrest Gump.
Nice. And our panel contentions have all been established. Anyway, we are actually out of time. Die Hard wins because it's fantastic. Hope you guys enjoyed this year's Die Hard versus Lethal Weapon. We're going to do it again. Die Hard's going to continuously kick Lethal Weapon's ass because the movies don't change.
I think we should add to it, though.
What about Airplane?
We should. Airplane versus what? Like versus Die Hard 2?
I'm just kidding.
That'd be tough.
No,
though.
but I think
That'd
we should
be
do
really
other
honestly
Christmas
tough.
movies, like Christmas Story versus something.
Die Hard. No, that's the thing. And now it has to be Die Hard versus everything. So
Why?
it's like, and this year, A Beautiful Life, or It's a Wonderful Life versus Die Hard. Okay? And I'm telling you, John McClane is kicking that angel's ass. But every time John McClane punches a German, an angel gets his wings. All right, I'm done.
Terrible.
You're horrible. You're just terrible. In the show.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next week, I'm the Blurry Dude.
I'm Mongo.
I'm Mini Dude.
And I'm the Bean Counter.
Peace.
Mm-hmm.